Jesus, I believe.
Jesus, I believe.
Jesus, I believe. Jesus,
Hi, today we are again on Youth Empowerment Program, where we want to bring you some info on how to overcome challenges as a young person, where we are going to focus how we can face our cultures and our faith to become who we should be. We have a guest with us here who is going to give us some more insights that he has for you as young people.
Greetings to you all. Thank you for welcoming me to this forum to give my opinion on youth empowerment. My name is Kofi Firme. I come from Ivory Coast. I am a Yarumal missionary. I work here in Kenya. I'm working as a formator, working in our formation house with our seminarians, those who are in the process of becoming missionaries with us in our institute. And in my life, recently I had to study a bit of psycho-spiritual counseling and therapy at Marist International University. So I am happy to be here and to share with you.
Great, Father Kofi. As you have said, you are working in a formation house, and I guess you are dealing with young people, young men who are going to be priests in the future. And you have said of your interest having gone to train in spiritual psychology. Tell us, what motivated you to take this course?
In the course of psycho-spiritual counseling, what I got and what really even motivated me to go for it is that this is a course that aims at dealing with the person in a very integral way, taking the person as a whole entity, not only dealing with one aspect of the person. So in the psycho-spiritual, because many of our issues that we have in the world usually are either spiritually related or psychologically related, but even at the end of the day, saying that human being is spiritual and psychological and or in religious, we need to have tools to know how to deal with some of our spiritual, psychological and religious issues that we may face in our life. So this is what really interested me, and to go to what gave me the passion to go and study that. And also as someone, as a priest, as someone dealing with so many people, we may encounter diverse challenges, diverse situations to help people. Not only to help people, but to help myself, because the more I help myself, the more I understand myself, I am able to also understand people, I am also able to help people. This is what motivated me. First, it was to understand myself more, to know how to heal some of my inner wounds, to be able to help others who will come.
Yes, Father, you have put it rightly, that we need always to start with ourselves, so that we can understand the other. And rightly then, we want to look at when you meet a young person for the first time, and when you realize that they are struggling to make life choices, what is the first aspect would you want to help them understand themselves? We have the aspect of the culture, and the culture right from the time they are born, they get into a society that does things in a certain way. Then we grow, as we know, the Catholic Church teaches about the age of reason at the age of 7. So we will get that people become conscious of their spiritual need later on in life. So I would want to invite you to help young people to understand, why is it necessary they need to know what is culture all about and relate it well with their spiritual life.
Thank you very much. I would like to say, and also even agree with people who say, know yourself, understand yourself, and you will know and understand the world better. what I would like to say is that even to young people and even to everybody, is what matters is to be human beings, is to really understand that we are human beings, that we are part, or there are so many things that are in ourselves that constitute a human being. When we say human beings, that human person, as I said, is cultural, is religious, is psychological, is also biological, physiological, is any that we can, many other things that we can say about human beings. So I think the first thing first to tell young people, to tell everybody, is to accept that reality that we are a part of a big whole, and as well that we also are constituted with so many things that can have impact and influences on us in our life. In my experience of being a counselor, a psycho-spiritual counselor, I have been working in prisons, in some prisons even here in Nairobi. I have worked in rehabilitation centers. I have also accompanied seminarians in their formation houses, and even myself, I am with my own seminarians. Though professionally, I cannot be their counselors and the spiritual directors here, but at least having those information, having that training, I can also know how to approach them in a better manner, how to help them accept that they are human beings, and even know that the most important thing I feel is to be a human being.
Good. Father, you're talking about being a human being. A human being, you can only be a human being in a society. Mm-hmm. Now, a society, that's where we first learn from. What do you think what we have learned or adapted from the society can affect our development?
Again, I will say I agree with people who say we are what we eat.
Wow.
It's not only the food that we have in the kitchen, but everything that we receive is what makes a human person. So again, I will say, in our cultures, we receive so many things wherever we are born. Culture being the way of life. Culture being the way of living of people. So we are what we receive. From the very beginning we are born. So this is why even in counseling, in psychology, in many, even in, I think in religious life, in spiritual life, we emphasize the fact that culture has a big influence on us. And our background are very important in whatever we do. So what we receive has also impacts on us from diverse persons, from our parents, from our teachers, if at all we got the chance to go to school, from our priests, or from many people, from our peers, from our friends, from people that we meet around us. You know, they have a lot of influences on us. Now, how do we understand that there are some that are necessary for us to live our life, and how do we understand that some come and we need to let them go? I think this is where many times young people need to understand, because there are some ages like adolescent age that people really are into imitation. They need to imitate. They just imitate what they see. And many times they want to imitate people who appear in public. But those people who appear in public, it is not all of them who have really the upright way of living. But since that person appears in public, people look up to him and they want to imitate him, they want to do what he does, and they want to. So at the end of the day, many young people pick the negative one instead of picking the positive one. So I think this is what we need to emphasize a lot when we are talking about how these things can influence us, and even people around us can influence us.
And you know, Father, the way you have really put it, that we need to be cautious of what we consume, knowing and unknowing. And I like that point. Now, young people don't know that they consume so much by seeing. We learn first by seeing. Recently, we have seen the divisions that has happened in the world. A world that thinks that there is a culture that is superior than the other. What do you say about that? Could there be a culture that is superior than the other? Or we all need to recognize that everyone with their culture, they have something we can learn from?
Again, I will agree with people who say we are unique. You cannot find two people, the same people in the world. So normally all of us, either young person, old person, we need to understand our uniqueness and even treasure that uniqueness, that we are unique. For example, myself, I am very well aware that you will go all around the world, you will not find the same Firmin Kofi. You may find someone who looks like me, he may walk like me, he may even speak like me, but he's not me. Even if we are twins. But my twin brother, if we are identical twins, my twin brother is not me. He has something that looks like me, he has something that is in line with me, but he is not me. So that the first aspect is to accept that and to love that every young person needs to know that he is unique, that he is treasured, that he is important, that he has something to add on the life of others, and he also has something to learn from others. So usually it's not to imitate because we want to imitate. And then to touch what you said, culture. There is not a culture that is supreme. There is not a culture that is better than any other culture. Every culture is beautiful. And as I was saying that every person is unique, every culture is beautiful. Every culture is unique. Every culture has values and virtues and good things. Again, every culture has biases. So I think what usually we need to do and what I feel we need to understand is that all the cultures are equal, that there are some biases in every culture, there are some positive things in every culture. And doing like that, we will even try to treat one another as human beings. Because as I say, let us be human beings. We will treat each other as human beings. We will love each other as human beings. We will not love someone or hate someone because he comes from this or that culture.
Yes, Father, I do agree. And this is where I remember the book I read recently when I also listened to Pastor Miles, who talked about the third option, where he wants to introduce the world to what we have ignored, that we have biases that always makes us to think that we don't need to know about the other person. And he says one of the biases that we should deal with is the attitude of not wanting to know. When we don't want to know who we are living with because we think that we are better than the other, and this is where this pastor talks about we need a third option, that what you think about me or what I think about you is not so much important as what we should find in the middle. So today, if we want to look at what culture should be, is what can bring me and you together. The same thing, what can bring the young people together. If this is true, then it's a challenge for any young person to go over this. That's why I want you now to help us. We have learned, we have acquired, but then we need to move on to our faith. How can faith come and help us blend our different background, knowledge, or expression of our cultures?
Faith is every expression, every human expression of his relationship or her relationship with the divine. Christians will call him God, or others will call it Allah, or others will call it the way they want. And even in our cultures, those names are there. So it's our relationship, our expression of that relationship with that divine. Now, Pope Francis recently has written an encyclical called Fratelli Tutti. Fratelli Tutti, that is something, when you go through it, you say, how I feel Pope Francis is talking the fact that all of us are one, that we are brothers and sisters, so there is not one that is better than the other. Again, as I was talking about the culture. that there is no one who is better than the other, that we are all brothers. So what we need to treasure, what we need to nourish is that culture of encounter that makes us cross our boundaries, what to prevent us from going towards others, to reach to the others, no matter where they come from, no matter the religions they belong to, no matter the cultures they are having, no matter even what the countries and the places where they come from. And this is what I want to just have a kind of small bracket here to say, I feel, and according to my understanding, for God, there are no countries. For God, there is humanity. For God, they are children of God. For God, they are brothers and sisters living together in the world. So I think we need to take ourselves like that. And this is what even we need to help our young people understand, our brothers and sisters understand, even old people to understand that we are brothers and sisters. And what we need to do, again, I want to borrow from Pope Francis, we need to build bridges. Young people now, we need to help them build bridges. Build bridges how or why? We need, so many things have divided us. Some of us, we are calling ourselves Africans, others are calling themselves Europeans, others are calling themselves people from Asia, others. But we need to build bridges so that all of us, we can cross. From Africa, I can cross to Europe. From Europe, I can cross to Asia. From Asia, I can cross to America. And we have that movement. I think even in the world, this is why people are talking about global village. The world is like a global village. So as we talk, as we train our young people, we need to tell them, we need to tell all of us that our world is a village that has every entity, every people, every person in it, and in it, every person is unique and is important. Now, in my work with the youth, or in my work as a psycho-spiritual counselor, I have met so many youth that they are like a little bit lost about where they belong to. And I feel they don't feel like taking all that the cultures are telling them. They don't feel like taking all this traditional way of living our faith. So they belong to a certain place. They belong to another sphere. And I think we are calling them millennia. These are millennia. There is another culture that has been created. The traditional culture that we're having, like in our villages, that our parents, like grandparents were teaching us, I think that culture is now needs to encounter the culture of the millennia, of the young people of today. I feel it's not only the young people who need to be related to their cultures or to their faith, but even our faith and our cultures need to find the youth where they are, because the youth have another culture that they have for themselves. Why am I saying this? Because we are saying that culture is a way of life, and faith is a way of relating our relationship with a divine. So young people today have their ways of living. Young people today have their way of expressing their faith. So I am a little bit challenged or even tempted to say it will be a kind of faith and culture torture to the youth if we want to impose on them all that our traditional ways of doing things, either religiously or traditionally or culturally, on them. It can be very challenging. So we need to have that, again, I will say, we need to build that bridge that helps the young people move from their culture of millennia to the traditional ones that we having, that have values. And again, these traditional ways also need to have that bridge to encounter the youth where they are. And again, I will say the same about faith. Because today many people are saying, no, young people are not going to church. They are not interested in church things. But are we asking ourselves, what is happening? Are we thinking that the young people don't want to go to church? I am not so sure. Do you think that the young people don't want to express their faith? I am not so sure, because I am very convinced that they are relating to God. They are relating to their cultures, but not the way we want them to do it. So we need to understand that, and and then motivate them in their expression and their relationship with God the way they are, understanding that God also understands them from where they stand.
Great. And Father, I think you have said some things here I want to help these young people understand. You have talked about an encounter culture. A culture that is going to make each and every one of us to move from where we are, where I can call a comfort zone, to go out to meet someone that we are interested in. And in this case, on our youth empowerment program, is young people. And the beautifully you have said we need a preach. If we need a preach to move from where we are to where others are, we need to let go or hold back what we know first, so that we can be ready to seek to know what they know. You have said they are Marinians, and I agree. And that's what I've already written in my book, The Cry of the Young People, that unless we change our perception on how we look at young people, we will never help them to grow. But something that you have also quoted, and I went through the document of the Holy Father, Fratelli Tutti, and number 13, this is what the Holy Father says. When he gives an advice to young people, he says this: if someone tells a young people to ignore their history, to reject their experience of their elders, to look down on the past, and to look forward to the future that himself holds out, doesn't it then become easy to draw them along so that they only do what he tells them? He needs the young people to be shallow, uprooted, distrustful, so that they can trust only in his promise and act according to his plan. That is how various ideologies operate. They destroy or distract, or differently, so that they can reign unopposed. You are right on. So we need to prepare our young people to avoid being led without themselves getting to know where they are coming from. And you have said it rightly. Yes, as we seek to help them, we are not going to rely on what they know, but we have to understand them so that we can connect them with the right traditions, and especially what we have received from our faith. Surely, as I said in the beginning, we come to know much of our faith through our parents. So, or whoever you lived with, I will feel so sad that if some young people followed somebody who is faithless, what will this be in their life? When you follow someone who has no grounds on what they believe in or what they live, can that affect young people? What's your take?
Allow me to say, our past inform our present, and our present also inform our future. If future there is at all, if future there is. I have been talking about imitation. Young people imitate. They imitate, but we need to know, as I was saying earlier, we need to know what we take in. We need to know what we take in. And young people need to know what they imitate. What they see, it is not everything we see that we need to imitate. We need to see if what we are imitating adds a value, proper value on the person. And we need also to see what the person does. Does it help our present? Does it help, and will it be able to help our future? And I will say, yes, sometimes we need we cannot tell the young people just to live for the sake of living. Our background has a lot to do with us. And what we receive from the very beginning has a lot to do with us. So our young people need to continue trusting even their elders who have lived and have experiences. You know, there are some, especially adolescents, where there is one of the characteristics of adolescence is like it says this. Sometimes adolescents behave as if nobody understands them. They behave as if nobody understands. And you will listen to that expression. You don't understand me. My parents don't understand me. My teachers don't understand me. Yes, exactly. This is how they feel. But we need to help them understand that no, they understand you. But because they have lived these experiences, they want you to do something else that will help you have a brighter and better future. We need to train young people to understand that fact. Well, sometimes, or not, I will say always even, it is like a young people, you cannot build a house without foundation. So young people cannot grow without taking into consideration their background, what they were trained in, where they were born, and even the values and the cultural grounds and even faith grounds that they got from their parents or from their guardians or whoever they might have encountered in their life. So we cannot tell young people that they can just be a better adults or better elders, or elders in the sense of African setup, elders, without considering all these values they have acquired in their cultures and in their faith.
Wow. And Father, truly you have put it the way these young people need to see it. And in this book, The Truth from Within, I remember I've written an experience how you become full of joy when you overcome a challenge in life. I remember what happened once in my life. I was somewhere trying to figure out to do something. And I had reached a point that I thought that no one understands me. And I would see no forward or backward. At certain time, I got some 3 senior ladies who came to visit me. And I had told them there is something I wanted to share because we are in the same group. The first thing they arrived and told me or asked me is, "Father, have you eaten?" I didn't know that I looked weak. I didn't know that there was something wrong with me until these senior ladies asked me the question, even not so much what we were supposed to go and do. At that time, I realized something. They saw something in my life that I could not see. You have talked about adolescents always feeling that they are not understood. We can be grown-ups, but behave as adolescents. When we keep pointing fingers to others that they are not understanding us, yet they are coming into our life with something new. We can only find this joy then when we allow the other person to come to our life and tell us what they are seeing that we are not seeing. This brings me then to also talk about, yes, what we should help these young people realize. That faith in seeking everything in this earth, faith connects us to a higher being. Why is that very important?
Faith connects us to a higher being that I will call God. It is important. Why? Because living without God, trying to live, I will put it like this, trying to live without God, it is telling ourselves, I am not living at all. Because as human beings, we cannot live and bracket God. God is part and parcel of our life. And you have God, you have everything. Because God is everything. So we need to help our young people to also understand that part, that aspect, that God is there for them, caring for them. So what we need is our answer, our response to it. And that response to it is our faith in Him. In our faith in Him, knowing that He is the one who guides us, is the one who leads us, is the one who has even our true being Our true being is the one who has it. And what we are doing is to continue, taking all the time the step to look like him more. Because this is what the book of Genesis says. He said he created us in his image and likeness. So every day our step, every day our faith experience, every day is to look more like God. And there is not better thing than trying to look more like God. Because trying to do it means that we will be reconciled a lot with ourselves. We will accept ourselves because we will understand that he said when he created the human being, he saw that it was good and even very good. He saw that it was very good, so that we appreciate ourselves, that God saw us that we are very good. Because so many young people, many of them don't appreciate themselves. And this is why they are picking something that they are just seeing here and there. To see that we are very good, we are created very good. And then also to understand that there is not better, as I was saying, there is not any other thing better than being like God. And being like God does not mean that we will just do things the way God wants them to be. But even it is to accept. Again, I will go by to accept to be human beings. Because God himself saw that being a human being was good. This is why he became Jesus. He took flesh. Incarnation. Incarnation means God has become human being like us, except sin. So there is not better thing to be like human beings. So the best way to imitate God is to be truly human beings. So young people need to be human beings. The world needs to help young people being human beings. And being that human beings means that we have already accepted, young people have accepted that they have weaknesses, accept that they have also very good qualities. Then they also need to understand that as people who are growing, they need other people who can be mentors or coaches. So a mentor is the one who walks with you. He's the one who journeys with you. He's the one who can understand you. So even I'm calling adults also to be mentors. Every adult to be mentors to young people, to walk with them, to journey with them, to say, yes, we are friends, we are working, I understand you. I know what you are going through. So this could be okay for you, this could not be okay, but allowing even those young people to make their choices and their decisions. But those choices and decisions need to be informed by their faith and all the cultural values that adults will give to them.
Good. We have said it right that we need to treasure our relationship with God. And from our simple catechesis, we know that we were created by God. And why did God create us? To know him, to love him, to serve him, so that we can eternally live with him. Now, I want you to help us to understand, what does it mean to know God?
As I said earlier, we were created in the image and likeness of God. And knowing God is knowing ourselves, trying our level best to discover ourselves, to also try to understand ourselves, to understand that we are that image. Pope Francis said we have the DNA of God. So every human being has a DNA. And if we share the same DNA, then is knowing God, knowing ourselves, knowing our brothers and sisters. I think that will be the best thing to do. Because if today we say we have known God completely, then God ceases to be God. But the best way to know God is to know ourselves, is to know our brothers and sisters, and understand ourselves, understand our brothers and sisters, and accept even that fact that all of us share the DNA of God. Now, loving God. How do we love God? I say, how can you love God that you don't know or you don't see? And you can pretend to love him, and you don't love your brother or your sister who is close to you. If we have the DNA of God, then loving my brother, loving my sister, loving myself is loving God. I cannot pretend, and this is why I think even this is what the scriptures say. When even St. James and all the Gospels that we read are talking about that. Love your neighbor as yourself. This is the commandment. Jesus said, the commandment is love God and love your neighbor. And the Gospel of the Good Samaritan is asking, who is my neighbor? then Jesus gives the story of that Samaritan that fell on the way. You know, the priest passed, the Levite passed, then the Samaritan comes and find the person beaten there and cares for him. And Jesus asks the person who came to ask him, who is my neighbor? He said, well, among the three, who is the neighbor? He said, the one who had mercy on him. He said, okay, go and do likewise. And doing that, you are doing it to God. Whatsoever you do to the least of my brothers, you have done unto me. I think that is also loving. Then it goes to service. Love and service are related. Love, charity are related. You know, we cannot pretend to love someone if we are not able to serve that person. If we are not able, the love in the heart of the Samaritan drew him to the person, the man who was beaten and was left half dead on the side of the road. So his love takes us to action. Love takes us to service. Love takes us to charity. And then this is the charity and the service that we are asking even from young people. Young people need to know themselves. Because knowing God means knowing themselves, understanding themselves, knowing their brothers and sisters, understanding their brothers and sisters, and accept that all of us have the DNA of God. And then loving God, young people, if we tell young people to love God, we are telling them to love themselves the way they are, to love their brothers and sisters the way they are, and to love the fact that they have been created in the image and likeness of God, and that they have the DNA of God. And then serving God, how? Serving God, young people need to serve God in their brothers and sisters, and especially their parents and people around them. You know, that because what young people need to know today is that the parents as well are expecting that they grow well, that they one day they can be able to handle their own life. So there should be that good relationship even with young people and their parents and their guardians. How? Is by paying attention to what they are told, to listen to their parents, because listening is one of the qualities that every human being needs to have. To listen attentively to the advice and even the examples of life that their parents are telling them, their guardians are telling them, and even what the church as well is telling them. But on the side of the church, I want to say that we also as well to show that young people matter, that the church loves young people, that the church understands young people, that the church takes care of young people. The church as well needs to make a little bit of a step to find the youth where they are. Today, young people, as we are recording this, I am very happy that it will go around the social media, and young people are there. They will just see, oh, look at maybe those who will discover me will know me. Say, look, this Father Kofi and Father Dennis. Then it can even attract them to listen more, to be. So I think you, because you have organized this, I thank you for organizing this thing, that even through social media, we can reach young people. We can tell them that the world counts on them. The church counts on them. Even God loves them. God counts on them as well to be truly and fully human beings, to be people who are really loving, people who are at the service of their brothers and sisters.
Wow. And I love it when you have put it like that. And one thing I want to trust that is going to be a difference maker is what you have talked about, the Samaritan who went and found this man lying down, and he did sacrifice when the priests and the Levites ignored. What does that tell us, even as young people? Not everyone will always come to you. Young people will feel misunderstood, which is sad. That people who are supposed to take responsibility, those who have nourished either parents, guardian, even the church itself, they may fail. But don't forget, God is sending a Samaritan. And when I did reflect on this parable of the Good Samaritan, I found this. When we love, we are made to be free. But when we become self-centered, we kind of create boundaries. that I can only help you because maybe we click, or because you have patted my back. When I made a choice to come to you, I didn't come to you because I had created boundaries, because I had open arms, saying that together we can have a message for the young people. In loving, we get to kill the boundaries that surrounds us, or the confinement we find ourselves as young people or anyone else. And that's why we should be open to challenge everyone who finds that they isolate themselves from the young people because of maybe of their mistakes or because of their behavior. Now tell me, how would these young people learn if we who are knowledgeable don't go to them? Sometimes we find most of us grown-ups or those who guide young people behaving like that lawyer who went to Christ to ask, who is my neighbor? I think even when children grow right from their early ages, they know who their neighbors are. Why would you think that lawyer, somebody who should have learned and understood scripture, failed to live the scripture? It's because of the boundaries that he had created. And I want to think he went to Christ because he wanted to win the argument. Whenever we have that win attitude, mentality, when we are trying to help others, we lose. But when we let love guide us in meeting anyone, we help them meet themselves. Father, I think we have done so much. And now that we have said all this, why we need to treasure our culture, we have connected it with our faith, I want to ask, what else do you have for these young people today?
I want to tell young people that to help someone, we don't need to come from the same place, like what the Samaritan did to the man that fell there. So helping a person is not only because we come from the same place, because I know the person, because we share the same culture, because we share the same faith. No. Helping, we help someone because he's a human being and he needs our help. And also I am telling the youth today that professing our faith, living our faith, does not mean that we enter in certain rituals. Because the priest and the Levite, they were tempted to be focused on their rituals that prevented them from reaching to that man that fell on the way. So it does not going to church or professing our faith, being a member of a certain religion, does not only mean practicing simply rituals, but it is to show really that we are brothers and sisters, that we need to help one another, that we need one another, that we need to give and accept also to receive. This is what I want to tell young people. The other thing I want to tell them is that many times people can take young people like this man that was left half dead there at the side of the road, because now people are telling so many, have many prejudices, many misunderstanding, many misconceptions about youth. They are telling the youth are not behaving very well. They are like this, they are like this, they are like this. So it's like they are simply abandoned there. Nobody wants to care for them. But I want to assure them today that many people, including myself, will care for them. Because even myself, I am a young man. We care for them. We are there for them. We are there to support them and to tell them that the world belongs to them. That the world needs to be or should be what their contribution that they are giving to it. So I tell you, thank you very much for inviting me to this forum, and I tell all of you that I am available to further questions, further clarifications, further understanding of what I am doing, and for any assistance I will be ready to provide what I can. Thank you very much.
We need to give thanks to God for today, because on Youth Empowerment Program, we have one man stronger joining the team. You have heard what Father Kofi has just shared. I can call it, he was giving himself to us as young people. It was an exciting discussion when we have talked on how to overcome the challenge of our cultures, or running the right culture that is connecting us to ourselves, when we have learned who we are and what is the purpose of our life. Because in connecting with God, we get to be connected with ourselves and those who are around us. Thank you, Father Kofi, for being available to our young people. We are assured we are one man stronger into this team. We want to show the young people that we care for their own growth. And as you have promised, together we want to give them the best. And I want to beg you, when you hear their cry, be ready to respond. We look forward to work with you in our upcoming programs. Do you want to trust this? You have watched us share our experiences to you, our passion to transform you. Let that not be a wasted chance.
Jesus, I believe.
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 I believe.